We have some explosive breaking news overnight. That's where we're going to begin. The New York Times reporting that Trump campaign aides and allies had repeated contacts with senior Russian intelligence officials before the election. It comes on the heels of Mike Flynn's resignation as national security advisor after the Justice Department warned that he could be vulnerable to Russian blackmail for lying about his contacts with Russia. Our chief White House correspondent John Karl starts us off. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. That report in the New York Times says that despite repeated denials that members of the campaign team for Donald Trump had repeated contacts with Russian intelligence officials, directly contradicting what the president himself has said.
The New York Times reports several of Donald Trump's associates, both inside and outside of his campaign, had repeated contacts with Russian intelligence officials in the year leading up to the election. Sources familiar with the matter tell ABC News that U.S. officials became concerned about the contacts before the election and started to investigate. The Times doesn't say what the conversations were about, but it does name one of the Trump associates that was in contact with the Russians, Paul Manafort. He was Trump's campaign manager before being fired shortly after the Republican convention. The contacts were discovered during the investigation into the hack of the Democratic National Committee. Although U.S. officials told the Times they've seen no evidence that the Trump team cooperated with Russia in the hack or had anything to do with it. But the contact with Russian officials during the campaign contradicts what the White House told us just yesterday.
Can you still say definitively that nobody on the Trump campaign, not even General Flynn, had any contact with the Russians before the election?
My understanding is that what General Flynn has now expressed is that during the transition period, well, we were very clear that during the transition period, he did speak with the ambassador.
I'm talking about during the campaign.
I don't have any, there's nothing that would conclude me that anything different has changed with respect to that time period.
Last month, then President-elect Trump flatly denied any communications between Russia and his team.
Did you or anyone in your campaign have any contact with Russia leading up to or during the campaign? Nothing at all.
The bombshell report comes amid outrage over contacts now former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn had with the Russian ambassador before the inauguration.
Flynn was secretly communicating with Russian officials at the same time that Russia was attacking our democracy.
Even some Republicans are concerned.
Obviously, there's an administration that is in significant disarray as far as national security is concerned, and they need to fix that.
And we've just received the first reaction to all of this from the White House. It comes in the form of a tweet from the president who writes, "The fake news media is going crazy with their conspiracy theories and blind hatred." He then says that MSNBC and CNN are unwatchable, but Fox is great. We also have reaction, Robin, from the Russians, and it sounds a lot like the reaction from the president. Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson for Vladimir Putin, says that the report is not based on any facts, and he advises reporters not to read the morning papers. Let's not believe newspaper reports. It's very difficult to distinguish, to separate the real from the false. Robin?
Not surprising we'd hear that from the Russian authorities. All right, John, thank you.